Welcome back to our August real estate update. This is the 5th video in our 5-part series. And yes, today we are finally getting to the most asked for city in Canada when it comes to these real estate updates. That's right, Halifax. We're discussing everything Halifax real estate going back to July of last year, talking about why the market is so hot and what is going on in that city that makes it so desirable to live in. But before we get into it, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video, and don't forget about our race to 25,000 subscribers, where one lucky subscriber is going to win $5,000 to put towards their TFSA or their RSP or their savings or to pay down their mortgage or other debt or simply to do with whatever they like. So go ahead, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you would do with $5,000. And remember, in order to win, you have to be subscribed. So go ahead, click that subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, and it's definitely worth it. The definitive guide on how to manage your credit, product, and elite price in that order. It's never been more important to get your mortgage right. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's discuss Halifax, Nova Scotia, the second fastest growing city in Canada, at least when you look at the 35 biggest metropolitan areas. And this is one that, everybody has been asking for this. It's in the comment section below because Halifax not only is one of the fastest growing cities in Canada, it is also one of the hottest real estate markets in Canada. So we're going to jump in. We're going to talk about what's going on in the real estate market over the last year, what the prices are doing, and why Halifax is such a desirable place to live. And there's a whole bunch of really interesting factors on this one, which I think you're going to find intriguing. So let's do as we always do. We'll jump you into the screen here, and let's take a look first and foremost at Nova Scotia's housing prices going back to July of last year. So this is just post everything kind of opening back up again. The pandemic's kind of behind us, and this is the start of the hotter market in Halifax. And what you can see is back then, housing prices were at $363,692. That was the average residential price. And that represented at that point in time a 17% increase in prices. So we'd already seen prices starting to increase in those April, May, June months. And, it really was starting to heat up even back then. And you can see that residential sales were up 11%. It was just a really, really hot market, even as we just started to come out of that pandemic. And a lot of the reason why was because migration, even going back into pre-pandemic days and into those first months of 2020, was really, really hot. Because what you'll see when we get to the stats later in the video is that Halifax and Nova Scotia has had a pretty positive net migration, and it is the number 3 province when it comes to migration in Canada. And, if we go and we take a look here, and we look at where the prices are today, well, what you'll see is that prices have gone up by $452,000. That is an increase of 23% over the previous July. And remember that housing prices were up 17% going into July. And you can see that while sales have backed off a little bit, we've got this significantly higher value that's happening in that Halifax, Dartmouth area. And when you look at the housing prices and you look at $452,000 relative to the rest of Canada, obviously this is still a very affordable market when it comes to Canadian cities. And it is a market that has a really great sense of lifestyle. Now, I want to show you a little bit more about this because Halifax rated Canada's second fastest growing municipality. This has been the news that hits international headlines on a regular basis. And the reason why Halifax is the second fastest growing city in Canada is because they have actively pursued a positive net migration mentality. So in other words, the government there has acted in such a way that they are trying to encourage people to move not only from other provinces, but people to move in internationally. And the job that they have done there is absolutely incredible. And when you look at the net migration numbers or the migration numbers here, you can see that going back into 2010 to 2014, things really weren't looking that good. You saw a lot of people leaving in 2011. You saw a lot more people leaving in 2012, 2013. And basically they had this 5-year stretch that you can see here that was just really, really negative when it came to net migration. This is Nova Scotia, by the way, as a whole, not Halifax, although Halifax felt the brunt of this, being their major metropolitan area. And what happened in 2014, 2015 is the local government and local businesses got together and they said, enough is enough. What do we have to do to stop the bleeding and make this a business-friendly city and a business-friendly province that encourages positive net migration. And I got to tell you that they did an exceptional job of making sure that they turned this around. And what you can see is things slowly did start to turn around. 2015, 2016, migration became a little bit more positive. This was helped obviously by Alberta's oil crisis at the time, where you saw people leaving leaving Alberta and going back to Nova Scotia, going back to the maritime provinces because things weren't as good in Alberta. And then with the added businesses and the added business friendly rhetoric and mentality that was happening, people started owning businesses, running businesses, and businesses started moving into the Halifax and Nova Scotia area. You saw this quite a bit with companies like Rogers and TELUS moving call centers there. You saw this with financial companies moving underwriting centers there. And you saw this general entrepreneurial feeling towards Halifax and Nova Scotia that really at this point in time is second to none in Canada. And then when we jump in and we start looking at things like the migration numbers, they also did a really great job of encouraging migration from outside of Canada. And if you go and you take a look at the Halifax Partnership, that's what this website is. This was the partnership that was designed in order to increase migration into Halifax and turn the city around from a business-friendly standpoint. And they've got some great data on here. But if you take a look at population growth by source, what you can see is that their numbers with respect to international migration jumped substantially. All the other numbers, the natural population growth, which is births and deaths, when you look at intra-provincial population growth, when you look at intra-provincial and then interprovincial population growth, these numbers all stayed relatively the same. Obviously, they did pretty well with the interprovincial, with having more people starting to move into the province or into the city rather than moving out. But the big jump here was the international migration. And the question is, how did this happen? What did they do? And well, the reality of it is they just got really good at being business friendly and creating a story around the type of life and the quality of life that you can have if you were to move to Nova Scotia or Halifax. And if you go and you take a look, this is Nova Scotia immigration.com. They've created one of the most compelling websites with respect to which province you should move to in Canada. And quite frankly, when you have somebody who is moving from outside of Canada and they go and they find the Canada website, and then there's a link to all the different provinces. And if you go through all those provinces, I can tell you unequivocally that the Nova Scotia website is the best of all of them. And when you start looking at things like how they frame this, 7,400 kilometers of coastline. And with respect to home prices, now obviously these numbers aren't accurate anymore, but relatively speaking, they are still pretty comparable to the rest of Canada. And you can see that, when they're comparing the average price in Nova Scotia to the average price across Canada, it is a pretty compelling case when you look at the province as a whole. And I sincerely encourage you to go and take a look at novascotiaimmigration.com and also the Halifax Partnership. You can see they've linked back to the Halifax Partnership website here. And they've just done this incredible job. So what ends up happening is you have this scenario where you have a place that has a fairly low cost of living. You have things happening in other provinces that basically make it so that you no longer have to live in those provinces to work. You can maybe work in Toronto, but live in Halifax and work remotely. I know of somebody in Calgary who has moved back to Halifax while working in their Calgary job. They've created just this scenario where you have this quality of life, quality of living. They've really pushed that forward. And also in addition to that, they've created opportunities for entrepreneurs, opportunities for big businesses to move there, and just created this amazing place to live. And if there's a model for a city, and if there's a model for a town, and if there's a model for a province in order to encourage migration and build businesses, this is it. Now, the really interesting thing here is, from my understanding, Nova Scotia is facing a provincial election right now. And one of the hot topics is cost of living. And you've got Conservatives, Liberals, NDPs, all providing different ways of creating a better cost of living. And let me start by saying, politically, I'm agnostic. I don't care. conservative, liberal, NDP, I do care about how they act from a fiscal perspective. And here's what I need to tell you if you live in Nova Scotia, okay? First of all, market rents are not something that works. They make the situation worse because it disincentivizes people to build properties, to rent properties, to own properties, and to rent them out. So don't do that. If you want to figure out how to make Nova Scotia have a better cost of living, and so on and so forth, take a look at what you guys have done in the last 5 to 10 years. Take a look at the fact that you've created this business-friendly place to live, and therefore you've caused a lot of migration. You've caused a better jobs market, one of the best job markets in the country, and you've just created a better quality of life by being pro-business and being pro-entrepreneurship. That is what makes an economy tick. That is why Alberta in the past has been so successful, because it's been business-friendly. That's why Texas is one of the most business-friendly states in the US, and one of the most high-performing states in the US, is because when you get these business-friendly provinces and you get business-friendly politicians, it creates a better quality of life for everybody, and it creates opportunity. Now, you have to take advantage of that opportunity. But if the opportunity is there and you are one of those who takes advantage of it, it creates things like a better housing market, a better employment market, and a better overall quality of life, especially when you think about the incomes that you can make now in Nova Scotia and Halifax compared to the still relatively low cost of living. It's one heck of a place to live and one heck of a place to work, especially, and here's the really great thing, is if you can work remotely and you can move from another province to Halifax and Nova Scotia right now, you are probably doing yourself one heck of a favor from a cost of living perspective and from a quality of life perspective. So that's the scoop with the Halifax and Nova Scotia real estate market. Amazing place to live, amazing quality of life, still low housing values. I know they're higher than what they have been in the past, but still a real great opportunity. If you're looking at getting into the real estate market, if you're looking at buying a house, at midnight tonight, we are going to close down our first-time homebuyers boot camp. That's right, you have until midnight, we'll call it midnight Pacific Standard Time, so midnight BC time, to enter and enroll in that first-time homebuyers boot camp. We're going to open it up again back in the fall, but it'll be at a higher price and it'll be a little bit of a wait before you can get back into it. So this is the last opportunity to get into that homebuyers boot camp at the price that is currently priced at now. And if we do make any updates to that course, you will obviously have access to those updates and any future changes that happen. So go ahead. I encourage you to enroll in that. You will be one of the most well-informed buyers in the country. We talk about everything from how to choose a realtor, how to buy a property, how to write an offer, things you need to do, how to get the lowest interest rate. All of those things are included in there. And it is one of the best courses in the country when it comes to learning how to purchase real estate. And we have guaranteed that people will get 10 to 50 times their money back just by enrolling in the course. We've put a special offer in from Mortgage 360 to guarantee that you'll get at least 10 times your money back should you choose Mortgage 360 in order to get your mortgage. And I sincerely hope that you'll allow us to join you on that journey. And if not, at least do me that favor. If you found this video useful, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. And don't forget about that race to 25,000 subscribers. We'll see you on the very next video. Cheers.